Welcome to Thunderwood Kid. Welcome to Thunderwood Homestead.
Hi everybody, this is Thunder Ridge Kid here, and I'm Farm Fresh, and we were doing some chores around the house today because it was, what's the weather like outside, Thunder Ridge Kid?
Well, we live up on the hill, we know. Probably you guys guessing because a bunch of hill around here in Missouri, but pretty freezing out there now.
Pretty freezing, and what's the wind like?
Like in the 20s out in there.
It's in the 20s outside, and we've got about a 25 mile an hour wind, don't we?
Yeah, but
and it's blowing like crazy.
Yeah.
So Thunder Ridge Kid and I were trying to come up with something we were doing as a project today.
Well, our chicken doors outside in the backyard was solely shut in iceberg, and I had to go into chicken out to get them to get it and out of it.
Yeah, it was frozen shut, wasn't it?
Yeah, and the turkey door, I couldn't get it open because I rolled out all my strength on the chicken door.
so your papa had to go out and help you open the turkey door.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah. It was just frozen shut because yesterday we were having some snow.
Yeah.
It didn't stick on the ground. But it was very cold and it was snow. Anyway, we had to come up with an indoor project today to do. And so we started working on it. And then Kid and I were talking and we said, you know, this is something that might help somebody else. So we thought we would bring you along on the project we're doing, right?
Like organizing nails.
Organizing our nails and our screws. Now, many of you people on this homestead life, we always end up buying different kinds of screws and different kinds of nails for different projects. And see how we've got them?
Yeah.
We have them we store them in pop bottles. And Thunder Ridge and I.
Some of them need holes to bring the one without.
We're gonna bring you along, and we're gonna show you how we store our nails and our screws today. And the reason why we do it is to save money, right?
Right.
Because when you buy nails and when you buy screws, are they cheap or expensive?
Expensive.
They're expensive.
Some are cheap and some are expensive. You basically don't know till you know which one are cheap or expensive.
But you need to be able to find the screws you bought. And you use different screws for different reasons.
If they were $100 and they were $1 and you needed this kind, you would have to spend $100. Then you go around and you need this kind, you wouldn't be having any money and you would have to save it for later.
Well, they're not $100, but they're about between.
It's just an example.
I know, but they're between about $6 and up to $10 a pound, depending on how specialty they are, what kind of screws they are. And we were talking about that you use different nails and different screws for different reasons, right? Some of them are galvanized, and they have what on them?
Ink.
Not
some people
ink.
Are
Wait a minute. Not ink. It's zinc.
Zinc, I mean.
Zinc.
Some people are allergic to zinc, like my mom.
Some people in our family are allergic to zinc. But why do they put zinc on nails?
To keep them from not rusting.
To keep them from rusting. So you need to be able to use a zinc.
Can I say one more thing?
Yes.
Some people might be allergic to zinc. To make sure you're not before you do that, to my mom and Poodle and
No, your mom and Aunt Poodle and Grandpa.
And my papa, they are allergic to zinc.
They are allergic to zinc.
Don't make sure you not allergic to zinc before you do it.
Before you handle exterior galvanized nails, right?
Right.
Right. Or if you need to put on gloves if you're going to have to handle them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Put on gloves.
Yeah, she has to wear gloves. Okay, so we're going to take you along and show you how our project works, right?
Right.
Okay, let's get it set up and we'll show them what we're doing. All right. So what the problem is when you buy nails and screws at the hardware store, they come in a box like this, usually. And as you can see, these are some drywall screws. We're working on a project and kind of fixing up our garage a little bit to make it a little bit easier. And we had to buy several different boxes of screws that are new. And you buy them in the box like this, and then you only use a few, and you have a whole bunch left. The smallest a box will come is in 1 pound. And so then you have the problem of storing all these nails. And you can put them back on the shelf if you're real careful. But what happens is, when people are working, the boxes, if you can look at it, see how it doesn't want to close real good? And then it also, most of these boxes have a bottom that folds up like this. And after they get banged around a little bit, you get things where the holes will be like that. And they'll start losing screws. And I hate it when I lose a screw, don't you,
yeah.
Thunder Ridge kid?
Hmm?
Yeah. So, and also, if you're, see how they're coming out the bottom of the box now? And if you're, they just don't close well. And if you're taking them in a project.
Well, you could do this, but what if it tips back over and somebody comes and pops?
Yeah.
That's the whole way that, like a screw that came out.
And remember, they have a thin piece of plastic, and a lot of times that plastic tears open too. And sometimes you have boxes like these came in, and they're a little heavier duty box, but it's hard getting in and out. And when you open the box up all the way, then you have the trouble because they spill when you're trying to use them. Let's say I have this box of screws, and if I'm working on something, I open the box and I'm using them, and then I dump them over, and I have screws everywhere. So that's been a problem for a long time, and I tried to come up with a solution, and what I ended up doing was I ended up starting to save like just the 16 ounce, or actually any size you need, pop bottles. And most pop bottles, you don't want to use a water bottle unless it's got the stiff plastic, because you want something that's got this stiff plastic, and you want something that's got a good tight lid on it, because it's got to hold up for nails. And nails are not exactly tender things, so you don't want to tear your bottle up. But you can label your bottles so that you know what they have in them. And another thing you can do with a pop bottle, and you'll have to forgive this pop bottle because it has been around a while, but I put a zip tie around the top and another zip tie, and you can actually hang them up. And at our old house we had a workshop in the basement, and I had a whole bunch of nails just hanging up in the rafters, and I would hook these pop bottles on the nails, and they would just hang up really nice so that you could keep your bottles sorted. Now this one is in need of a new bottle. Can you tell? Because that's pretty beat up, and I can't even hardly see what's in there.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would.
But it works, because the thing to note is I still have the nails, and they're all in one place. When I'm ready to use a nail, you take off the lid.
We can take from my.
Pretty easy. And you can just shake the nails into your hand, and they come right out, and you've got the nails you need, and you don't have them spilling all over the place and getting lost. You can throw a pop bottle like this, as you can see this one's been thrown a few times, into a tool bucket or anything else, and even if a hammer bangs up against it, it's not going to tear the bottle up, and you keep your screws together and your nails together.
But if you use a chainsaw and cut it open,
you could.
That's a medium way to get the one.
Yeah, you could cut them open. But if I threw this box in a bucket with a hammer, it would get torn up a lot faster and a lot worse than this will.
Yeah, like
so.
Bam, boom, done.
Then, what we do is, we can keep them together, what we're using. Then what we do is I have now a milk crate. I hope you guys can see this. There, it's a little better. I have a big old milk crate, and I have just all my nails and screws stuck in it, and I can take them where I need them to be.
Yeah.
What I try.
It's pretty easy to take them back out.
Yep, pretty easy to take them out.
Yeah, but if you get too many down in.
Pretty easy to drop them in.
Yeah, pretty easy to get them in, but if you put too many, you will have to pull really hard to get them out.
Well, I'm about ready to start another crate, and then you can organize them even by the crate. So you could put all your screws in one crate and all your nails in another crate. Another thing I like to do, and this is a good example right here if you can read that, I try to put the length of whatever it is on the top. So like this is a 1-inch roofing nail. Ta-da! And this one, dirty as it may be, is a 1.5-inch ring nail. So I know from just looking in the top, if I need a longer screw or a shorter screw, I don't have to pull them all out. I just have to look. And it's real quick and real easy. It's, like I said, this system's been in use a long time. Some of our bottles are still in pretty good shape. And some of our bottles, like that first one I showed you, have been through the mill. But guess what? They still work. And they still keep our nails safe. And I'm going to show you how we organize that. The first thing you have to do, and that's the hardest part, is you have to drink a pop.
Yeah. But, you know, see that joking.
You think that's tough to drink a pop?
No.
It's pretty easy.
Yeah, but if you don't like pop and you know it, you can use any type of bottle.
That's true. You could use a juice bottle or a tea, right?
Yeah.
You just have to be sure that they're a heavy plastic.
Yeah.
And I also...
If it's a light plastic, that's quick, then done.
Right. I also like the fact that it keeps these bottles out of the landfill because we're recycling them, aren't we?
Yeah.
And reusing them.
Yeah.
And I also like the fact that I like to use a clear bottle because I like to be able to see the nails and things inside. Now you'll notice that when you first drink a pop, it's going to be all sticky, full of sticky juice inside, right?
Right.
Right. Or if you drink a juice or whatever. And so the first thing I do is I rinse them out in hot water. Now I don't have to scrub them because I'm putting a nail inside.
Yeah, do you think nails are clean?
That's right. But I do rinse the sticky out of them first.
Yes. Nails are not clean.
Right.
That's number one rule. Nails are not clean.
And as you notice, two bottles come in different sizes. This bottle actually had bottled water in it. It was an Aquafina bottle. And you see it's a larger size because sometimes you have bigger things than nails and screws and sometimes you have littler things than nails and screws. So you get the bottle to match, right? Don't put your head over the table. Okay? So when we get the bottles clean, wash them out with hot water, and the next step that I always do is I take the label off. And to do that, I take my handy dandy little knife and I just get underneath the cover of the label and loosen it up, and then I give it to Thunder Ridge Kid and he can pull the labels off. Just take it off and show him how you can take the label off.
Yeah, there's no way that they did that, but first it might take some time finding it.
Hold it over the table where they can't see what you're doing.
Just hold it on. Well,
that's fine. Take the label off. And the labels we throw away. So we do throw that part away. The next thing I do, because I like to use the zip ties on them a lot of times, and I think it's just easier to open and close them, is I take this little extra ring that's always on the pop bottle, and I do cut that off, or pull it off, so it can be out of the way. Okay, so let me get this off of there.
Yep.
That one's tough, it didn't want to cut.
Yeah.
So then the next thing, whoops,
Ow.
the next thing I have found over the years, if you just use a pop bottle like it is, sometimes the nails will get moist. Now, we do live in Missouri and it's real humid here, but sometimes they will get some moisture in the nails and the nails will get rusty in the bottle. And I don't want that to happen. So the first thing I do is I just turn it over and I just take my knife, or you can take a little any type of sharp thing, but I use my little knife and I just poke a tiniest little hole. It doesn't have to be big, just a tiny little hole. Matter of fact, you don't want it too big or the nails will fall out the bottom, right?
Right.
Put the little hole in the bottom, very, very bottom, at these edges, and that gives it a little air. And then I usually do the same thing. I put a little poke here, and a little poke here, and a little poke here, and then I do about 3 at the top. And what that does for my pop bottle is it gives it just enough airflow when the lid is shut that it keeps the nails from getting rusty. And then since these are still got dampness in them, after we've washed them out really good, and I let them dry for a day. So I'm going to poke some holes in here too, so you can just see again what I'm doing. Just go through and poke. I've already done the holes in the bottom of that. I did the holes in the side. And then I'm going to do some holes at the top. And it's just to make them have some ventilation. And like I said, you know, maybe a larger one might need a couple more extra holes. But they don't have to be big. You just want something to give a little ventilation to the nails and screws. They just last better that way. Okay. Now those two are still pretty wet, but this one is dry. So if you want to put these in Grandma's room so that they can dry some more, we have 2 boxes of these. So they're going to have to go in a big bottle, right?
Right. Like the one I just took over there.
But I only have 1 pound of these.
Little bottle like these.
So they can fit in a smaller bottle. That's right. Now, the first thing I do is I have to label, because I want to be sure that when I run out, if I've got some really good screws going and I'm using a project and I'm about to run out, I'm going to be able to buy the same thing, right? So you read the box. And this box says these are, what's that number?
8
by
2.
2.5.
8 by 2. It basically says 8.
Right.
S 2 dash 2
right.
slash.
But what
2.
kind of screws are these? These are galvanized deck.
Yeah.
So galvanized means you can use them outside, right?
Right.
So I will write on the side of this bottle, exterior. I hope you can see that. Then I'm going to put on here that they are galvanized.
And that means it,
and that means it has what?
zinc too.
Galvanized deck screws, and they are 8 by 2.5, right?
Right.
Okay. And they are screws. And I'm going to write that down too. Now, what's the difference between a screw and a nail?
Well,
What is it? Don't you know?
no. Well, screws you can screw in, but nails you have to like hammer them in.
It is a difference. It is a difference, but sometimes it can be kind of hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
So while we're talking about it, we'll talk about it. Hang on, lay it down on the table. In this box, I have, I hope you can see, this is, let me try to put it on my hand. You see that? That is a ring nail. And it has little rings all the way up and down it. And that's a nail-in fastener. You use a hammer with it. And the little rings keep the nail from slipping back out. Use that with something like siding, putting siding on a building. Okay? And this screw also has the little rings on it.
Yeah.
But the reason you can tell the difference between a screw and a nail is the top. Nails are flat, and screws have a place for a screwdriver or some kind of a twister.
Yeah, like a drill, screwdriver, anything that's good.
Right. screws have different kinds of tops on them too. This one is a Phillips head drive. So when you're labeling your screws, wait a minute, when you're labeling your screws, you might want to put Phillips on them too. Because sometimes the different drives, they have square drives and star drives and hex drives. And if you're baking something, you might need to know what kind of a screwdriver you're going to need. So I'll put that on the bottle too. So now these say Phillips galvanized deck 8 by 2.5 screws exterior. So I've got my bottle labeled, and now it's the kids' turn to do something with the bottle. What are you going to do with the bottle now?
And you see, that's what I'm doing.
He just starts taking them out and putting them in.
Yep. We've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, sometimes it takes quite a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I'm just joking with you guys.
And then the lid on here, I'm going to put the length. It's going to say 2.5.
Yes.
And it's going to say G for galvanized. And then it's going to say SC for screw.
Yeah.
And that's what it's got on the label. If you wanted to be real picky, you could paint your lid white before you wrote on it. But this is just to make things fast. So, I put it like that. And then, we have the fun job. And a lot of times we'll watch TV or do something like that while we put these in. And you
Let me do it in my
put your screws in, and
sometimes
kid likes to do it.
Yeah.
If you're doing this as your project, like I said, on a cold, windy day, then it's like you've got time to sit and play with nails. If you're working on a project, you need to hurry up and get your stuff done, so you don't want to be looking for your screws, right?
Right. Like
right.
If one goes clear across to the room.
As you see, when you put them in, sometimes they get all out of line. You need to shake it a little bit, and that'll fit more in there. Usually,
yes.
Depending on the screws, of course, but usually 1 pound will fit easily in a 16-ounce bottle. Yeah, but just keep wiggling them around in there a little bit. And then, like I said, if I want one out, I just shake it, and look, one comes right out.
But if you just dump the whole thing out, then all of them will come out. That's the biggest deal.
Yeah. And if you're working and you've got the lid off and you knock them over, they're not all going to fall over the floor, are they?
No.
No. They're actually more trouble putting in than they are getting out.
Yeah. Take that for being too.
Yep. They're harder to put in than they are to take out.
Yeah.
But once I have them all stacked up in here, they do just great.
Yeah.
In this one bottle, it just takes a little wiggling.
Yeah.
Points down when you get to the top because they go in better.
Oh.
That's a brand new whole entire pound of screws in one bottle. Put on the lid, and it's labeled. So, I hope you enjoyed our idea, and like I said, it's a good way to make use of some old bottles, and it's a good way to get yourself organized, and it's a good thing to do on a cold, blowy winter day.
Yeah.
I hope that you've enjoyed our little journey into nail storage and screw storage. I hope that it's something that you decide to try to get you organized. It's something that you can use for free, and it makes working on projects real easy, and it also saves you money. Thanks for coming along today on our project video, and we hope that you enjoyed it, and we hope that if you like our channel that you'll share it with friends, and you'll take the time to subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of our new videos, and give us a thumbs up if you like it. And what else do you have to tell them?
God loves you always, no matter what you do.
That's right. And Jesus saves, right?
Right.
Right. See you later. Bye.